Oops, sorry. Bear with us, folks. We're trying to get the live streaming thing started. We'll be ready to start in just a second. Meanwhile, I can sing you a song. I could sing you a Pink Pony Club, and that'll be stuck in your head for the rest of your life. And if everybody doesn't know it, Dolly Parton died today. So, country just lost a very, very good soul.
I know Baby Shark.
I was just thinking. It's funny. That's the song I had in my head.
Baby Shark. What you know down there, Bob? I'll wake him up. Working. That's fucking hard. He's doing some sight.
We got some earmarks today.
We talking about you down here. What?
You're live.
Hot mics, folks, hot mics. Still annoying song that I know. Hey, yay, Brandon. All right. Here we go. Good afternoon and welcome to the August 25th, 2026 meeting of Georgetown County Council. Please take this time to silence your cell phone so we can all be present for the information to be presented to us. Note for the record, we do have a quorum present. Please join us as Bishop Cooper leads us in the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Time, most gracious and eternal God, our Father, we come before you this evening with humble hearts, thanking you for the privilege, for the care, for the love, for the strength. We thank you tonight for unity. We ask as we serve our community and the people who have entrusted us with leadership, as we gather tonight for this county council meeting, we're asking for wisdom, we're asking for your guidance, we're asking for your direction. Give every member of this council clarity of thought, patience and decision and discernment in every decision. Help us to remember that the public service is not simply about position or titles. It's about people, it's about families, it's about communities and the future of our county. Help us, Lord, to put aside personal agendas and seek what is right, fair, and beneficial for the citizen that we have been called to serve. Bless our county employees, first responders, law enforcement officers, firefighters, EMS personnel, veterans, seniors, young people, business owners, churches, family, and every citizen throughout our community. We ask that you continue to grant us the understanding. We call it done now. It's in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic which is one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice.
Thank you all. Move down to the approval of the agenda. For reports and presentations, tonight's nonprofit spotlight is Adventure. Georgetown County and the Francis P. Burnell Foundation are partnering to spotlight a local nonprofit at each county council meeting. This week's featured nonprofit is Adventure. We'll have a report from Mr. Andy Marquette, their CEO. Mr. Marquette, you have the floor, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Can everybody hear me?
Man.
Good evening. My name is Andy. I'm the CEO of Adventure. And I wanted to, first of all, just thank you all for having us here tonight. Thank you to the county council, to the Francis P. Burnell Foundation for giving us the opportunity to speak about our work here in Georgetown County over the last 4 years. For those of you who don't know, Adventure is a children's museum that was founded in Columbia, South Carolina, and we opened in 2003. We get about 175,000 visitors to that location. When we opened, we were one of the largest children's museums in the entire country. Southeast. The next slide, please. And fast forward to 2015, and we formed an operational agreement with the Children's Museum of South Carolina. In 2018, we moved that location to the Market Common, and in 2022, we expanded that location to about 8,000 square feet. We welcome about 50,000 people. Next slide, please. Since the beginning of Adventure, we've recognized the opportunity to expand our learning beyond the museum's walls and provide educational opportunities for children that go beyond just coming on a field trip or coming to the museum. We began partnering with the Francis P. Burnell Foundation in 2022 to bring meaningful learning opportunities to Title I schools here in Georgetown. Our goal with this partnership is to bring workforce development, or as we call it, career curiosity, to active experiences. We provide STEM-focused opportunities that focus on engineering. I'm curious about learning something new and problem solving. That end, one of the things that the students are going through and teachers are going through is the educational landscape is changing quite a bit, and almost too fast to keep up with. When it comes to emerging technologies like artificial intelligence and things of that nature, the idea of critical thought is at risk as well. And one of the things that we do, and we'll always do at Adventure, is to make sure engage in our programs and outreach are using critical thought and problem-solving skills. Really the foundation of learning. Our goal is to let children and their families experience the joy of learning. That joy is rooted in curiosity. It's rooted in and problem solving. We will always continue to do that, to be a resource for schools in the future. Next slide, please. I'll walk you through just sort of what students experience when they go through our program here in Georgetown County. Pre-K through second grade in our partner elementary schools come to the museum on a field trip. That's how they kick off the experience with us. That is one of the most exciting things. If you've never seen kids who've never been, some of them have never been outside of their home community. We have children in Georgetown County that maybe never been to the beach. For them to go an hour up the road and experience something like Adventure with their classmates, with the teachers, it really opens their eyes and it makes them more eager to learn and experience everything around them. So the first thing is they come on a field trip. Then, as they leave, they're given three things. One is a lunch, which is always great. Two is books to bring back with them that are topical based on their experiences at objectives moving forward. And then they're also given a science journal. And that science journal is used week after week after they come visit the museum, where our educators give them prompts to continue their learning that's tied back to the museum experience. We know we're achieving our goals when the experiences at the museum, no matter our location, become a topic around the dinner table or in the classroom. That means that we are providing learning experiences. Finally, whenever in the spring, towards the end of the semester, we go to the classrooms and we provide informal learning experiences to the same students that came to the museum, plus 3rd through 5th grade as well. So we spend an entire week with the school enhancing their learning opportunities. And our goal isn't to get in the way of their education, of the teachers, or their books. We are there to enhance those experiences and make those experiences. Of course, with funding, you can do a lot with funding, but it doesn't matter unless you have a great team. I want to share some numbers with you, but I'm going to let our all-star museum manager, Jessica Gregory. She's an amazing leader, and without her and Vicki Denuzio as our education, this program would not be possible. And so I want to give it over to Jessica and let her kind of walk through the next part.
Thank you guys for this spotlight. It is a pleasure working with these schools that we have worked with in Georgetown County, the principals, the curriculum coaches, and most importantly, the students, giving them this impactful experience when they come to the museum. Like he mentioned, these kids, their eyes just light up, and we then get to take them out, either out for pizza or McDonald's. And the amount of times we have heard these children say, they've never even had a Happy Meal, getting to take this library home so that they can read these books, these journals. We get to go through them when we go back to the school, and the things that these children write. And you'll see a few pictures on some slides later on. But we have reached, this will now be, we're calling it Adventure 5.0. But thanks to the team Bunnell, they are amazing to work with. We just got our application in to hopefully reach Maryville Elementary this year. We have our site visit planned for October, so we are really looking forward to that. But thank you guys for the spotlight and the opportunity to shine a light on what we do at Adventure Children's Museum.
That we've participated with in the last 4 years. 4 out of 5 of those schools had never been to Adventure. Brand new experience for them next time. We've had over 1,020 students participate. And 3,246 books distributed, 1,001 science journals, and 1,189 lunches. This has been a great, impactful thing that we've been so proud to be a part of. Like Jessica said, we see the we're just here to express our gratitude, and I'll close. I want to close with just 3 words tonight, but foundationally, I want to reference those 3 words. First being, is we're in a room with people who make decisions that impact the quality of life. The Bunnell Foundation, their work is to improve the quality of life, and they're dedicated to making this. You all as county council, the decisions you make every day impact people's lives. That's immensely important. In the world of constant negativity, cynicism, negative feedback, believing in what we do, believing in the impact we have helps us march forward, and I hope you all. The second part of that statement is, I'm sure you all heard the news today about the legendary Dolly Parton passing away. She was a person who grew up with nothing, became something, and that's the most important thing we can live by. So 3 words I have to leave you tonight. Be like God. Thank you.
Mr. Marquardt, we have, I believe Councilor Bishop Cooper had a couple of questions for you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. My question would be, before I commit the taxpayer dollars, tell me specifically how this investment will directly benefit the children and family of Georgetown County, particular those in our underserved and rural community. Tell me how we will measure whether the investment is successful.
Well, the good news is we're not asking taxpayers. Our funding for this program comes from the Princess Female Foundation, and leverage those dollars to have impact. Now, to answer your question, the impact we provide is done through pre and post testing with the students. So over the course of the whole program, we know where they come in and where their learning is. And by the time they're finished with their science journals and the program, if we go visit the schools, we're able to measure how they, what they learned from the scientific and STEM learning, scientific process from the beginning. So I will say all of the schools that we support are high-performing Title I schools. And that is intentional. Those are the students we want to reach. Those are the opportunities we want to give. Back to my original statement about curiosity, problem solving, critical thinking. We need people to have the future generations need to have that framework to engage in a career that they might not have known was possible. So by bringing these students to the museum and then coming to their classroom, we're giving them the opportunity to explore that.
Okay. And also one final concern or question. In the spring of the year, you're going to visit the schools at least 5 days during the spring. Are there particular, this is just K through second grade, or this is from K through the senior, or?
K through second comes to the museum on the field trip. They are the one who gets the books and the science journal. They're the ones who get the prompts. And then when we go back to the schools, because our museum focuses on 8 and 9 here or up in Myrtle Beach, but we have educational tools that expand to 5th grade. So we spend a week K to 5th doing our outreach in the schools.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any further questions? Thank you, sir. Thank you for everything you do for us. Okay, we'll move down to the Employee of the Quarter recognition. We have a report from Ms. Amy King, our Director of Human Resources. Ms. King, you have the floor.
Being careful there.
Yeah, give it a shot because I think the folks at home can't hear what we're saying.
Good evening, County Council members and citizens of Georgetown County. It's my pleasure tonight to announce the Employee of the Quarter, and very proud because she is from my department, from HR. Since joining the Human Resource Department just over a year ago as our new payroll clerk, Amanda Barber has been an exceptional addition to Team Georgetown. Amanda has excelled in her training and has quickly taken on new tasks. Amanda came into her new role charged with the formidable task of eventually replacing our longtime payroll manager, Vashini Walker, when she retires. Ms. Walker leaves big shoes to fill, but Amanda has been ready, willing, and able to take on any duty that comes her way. She's made the job her own with humor, good grace, and patience. Amanda's timesheet reminders are eagerly awaited each week. Everyone is excited to see her latest creation. We are very proud of Amanda and her amazing progress in our payroll department. Payroll is an essential function of the county and requires its employees to have a high level of dedication and drive. Amanda has already shown her commitment and diligence with her attention to detail and her consistency in completing the many tasks required for a successful payroll. The HR department is very happy to honor Amanda's hard work and determinations to master the complexities of payroll as the Employee of the Quarter.
Okay, moving right along, we will have a report now from Ms. Holly Richardson on our impact fees. Ms. Richardson, you have the floor.
Thank you, sir. I do want to say that Ms. Colgrove assisted with this report, and any questions you might have about money and numbers, please do direct them her way. This involves the development impact fees, which if you've been around as long as I have, you know, we originally approved those back in 2009. At that time, we had impact fees for libraries, law enforcement, parks and rec, and roads. We then amended our impact fee ordinance in 2024 based on a revised capital improvement plan and the state's development impact fee ordinance. We no longer assess impact fees for libraries as those projects were completed and removed from the CIP. The report in front of you shows the current development impact fee schedule, what we're charging today, the amount of fees we've collected from July 1st, 2025 to June 30th of 2026 by the impact fee type, and then we also have a spreadsheet there for you that shows the amount we've collected since 2011. I did want to mention that fire impact fees, which we also do collect, are not a part of this report and not a part of this ordinance. They're collected separately under an older ordinance with a different set of standards. So those aren't addressed as part of this. In fiscal year 2026, we collected a total of $1,269,005. This is an increase of a little over $360,000 from the previous year. Interestingly enough, the year we collected the largest amount in terms of impact fees was 2021, where we collected basically $2.1 million. You may remember when we approved this back in 2024, we adopted a phasing schedule such that when this was passed July 1st, 2024, we collected 75% of the fee on each fee that we charged. That moved up to 85%. And then as of July 1st of this year, we're now collecting at 100% of the fee schedule that's attached. And that is our report for this year. Again, if you have any questions, Ms. Colgrove and I will be happy to answer.
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Where are the numbers so I can look at them? We don't have any slides here.
They're attached in your agenda report. We have two schedules there for you in the back.
Okay, I've got this. And there's other reports in the back here.
No, it's on your iPad.
It's on your
Yeah,
iPad.
well, if it's on the iPad, normally I don't depend on the iPad. Normally we have these things in front of us so we can look at the numbers, whether it's a budget or anything else. Am I wrong?
There you go, Bob.
I'm not, I don't, just let me know this, Holly, because I was trying to find the numbers and I wasn't paying a whole lot of attention to all the numbers you put out there. We have increased our income, but I thought that when we went through this, when we had to redo the impact fees, we were forced to downgrade them somewhat. Do I remember that properly?
Some of the categories did, yes, sir, and some went down and some went up.
Okay, so we got a net gain or a net loss?
It just depends. If you'll remember previously, before we changed them in 2024, on residential, for example, we charged a flat fee for each residence. They were all charged the same amount, whether it was a 1,200 square foot house or a
Do you remember what that
5,000 square foot house. It sat around 3,000, 3,200, something like that.
I got you. Go ahead.
And if you look at that schedule today, what the impact fee study that consultants prepared said that we could charge differently based on the size of the home.
Okay.
So now if your house is smaller than 2,000 square feet, you're going to pay less than 3,000. But if you've got a 6,000 square foot house, for example, then you're going to pay more. You're going to pay 4,283, for example.
That's the midpoint, and you're either going to be paying, if it's less than that, you're going to be paying one figure. If it's more than that, it's going to be another figure. It's not graduated.
Right, it's based on the square footage of the home. So some people's would go down. The larger homes saw a slight increase.
Okay. All right. I'm with you. So we're actually bringing in more money. Where does that money end up? Which fund does it go into?
It has to go in a specific fund because the impact fee funds are only tied to those projects in the CIP that the study was based on.
I think I've got the answer standing back here.
Yes, please do.
Holly's correct. It's sitting in Fund 499, which is our capital account right now. They're separated out by the 3 different categories and sitting there waiting for the funds to be used.
Okay, thanks so much. Sorry for the inconvenience.
Yes.
Bishop Cooper?
Ms. Richardson, I have 1 or 2 questions for you. I think you made mention how much has been collected by the county district. Did you give us that dollar amount? How much has been collected?
Countywide, yes, sir.
Okay. Especially District 3, if the staff can provide that breakdown for us for District 3 for some of my constituents.
So Bishop Cooper, you want to know the total amount of impact fees that were collected in your district specifically?
Yes.
Okay. For the last fiscal year?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I'll get with Ms. Colgrove and we'll work on those numbers for you. We just don't have them broken down by council district on this sheet.
Also, exactly which road, recreation, and law enforcement project has received the impact fees money?
I don't know that any of them have received any yet, but they're slated for certain projects. For example, law enforcement specifically referenced the detention center and some 911 radios. The roads is a little more generalized. I think it goes towards 10 miles of lane improvements. It's not specifically tied to projects. It references back to projects listed in the transportation element of our comprehensive plan.
And so therefore, with that being said, we can't measure, we can't say how much has been unspent or have not been spent. The question is this: how much remain unspent in each of the impact fees account? Are we able to address it at this time, or?
Yes, on attachment B, I think, I'm looking at my phone on this one. At the very end of that attachment is our current, there's like 2 million, almost 2.1 million. Those are listed out by the different categories, and that's what is able to be spent in those, and that's how they're segregated out. If you have, do you have attachment B up there on your iPad? Trying to, my phone won't go big enough. It looks like,
$2,086,509.
Okay, okay.
yeah, so Parks and Rec currently have about 486,000. Law enforcement has about 883,000. And then transportation, I believe it is, has 734,000.
Thank you.
What's included in transportation? Is that money we use for public transit and that sort of thing? Where does that go?
In the CIP, I think the impact fee study and the CIP reference just lane miles, so improvements to existing streets.
It's for infrastructure then,
Yes, sir.
not for vehicles, it's for infrastructure.
Things like intersection improvement, those sort of things.
Okay. And those are public works things that we handle ourselves. They don't go through GSATs.
Could be both. What it references here is projects from the comprehensive plan. At the time we did the study, we were working on the transportation element of the,
Right.
has a list of projects, which I can provide to you. But
That's okay.
it
I'm
references
just
that
asking
list.
some general questions. Thank you.
Holly, are these funds, the monies collected, are they spent in those specific years, or does it carry over until the project is done? Or does it accumulate in a fund, I guess is what I'm asking.
We have 3 years to spend them from the time that they're collected.
Okay. So we've got, as of June 30th, Parks.
This
and-
year, we have about 1.2 million from June 30th of 26. And then there's, I think, like 900,000 from the previous fiscal year that we also have to spend still. We got about another year for that one. And I think we're working on developing the plans.
Well, I can assume that not spending them is not a problem.
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, are any further questions for Ms. Richardson or Ms. Colgrove? All right, thank you both. All right, we will move down to public comment. A public comment period is included on each meeting agenda and shall be limited to 30 minutes. Each speaker will be limited to 3 minutes, and no speaker may yield his or her allotted time to another speaker. A timer is provided on the screen, and at the end of your time, please wrap up your comments promptly. While speaking, please be sure to address council only and refrain from personal attacks. Council will not respond to any questions during this period. While a speaker has the floor, the public will respect the speaker and allow them their time to address council. Members of the public who wish to address council during the public input period should sign up with the clerk to council prior to the meeting. ACA Ellis, are there any speakers for tonight's meeting?
Yes, sir, Chairman. There are 10 speakers. They will be entitled to 3 minutes each. The first speaker is Mr. David Cluda.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Dave Clouda. My wife Maureen and I live in the Marsh Point neighborhood, just west of Pawleys Island off the South Causeway. I'm here tonight to talk about the use of golf carts in our neighborhood. And an article on golf carts in the August 10th Post and Courier stated, state law currently allows the popular vehicles on roads with posted speed limits of 35 miles per hour or lower. But even on those stretches, carts often struggle to keep up with the traffic, said Councilman Bob Anderson. He now wants to restrict carts to roads with posted speed limits of 25 miles an hour or lower instead. A volunteer with the Pawleys Island Pedestrian Safety Association confirmed with Mr. Anderson that quote correctly described his proposal. If such a proposal becomes law, we think it would have the following effects on our mainland neighborhood and the island. Golf cart users from anywhere west of 17 could not legally drive their golf cart to the Pawleys Island beach. They couldn't get to the North Causeway or the South Causeway without traversing 25 MPS plus roads. Mainland golf cart users who live on the ocean side of 17 would also be blocked from taking their carts to the island. There's no way for them to reach the North Causeway without traversing a 25 mph road. And although they could reach the South Causeway legally, there's a short 35 mile per hour section on the South Causeway that would be illegal for them to use. Island golf cart users would be blocked from legally taking their golf carts to the mainland by that same part of the South Causeway that's posted at 35 mph. Using the North Causeway, they could get to the mainland, but could go no further than the island side of the intersection of Route 17 and Waverly Road. The only golf carts that could legally be used on the island would be the ones already there. Cart users would not be able to drive many of the businesses on 17 that they are now able to reach legally. Any golf cart registration revenue the town of Pawleys Island realizes from golf cart owners would end. Beyond the geographical limitations, there are financial considerations as well. We estimate that a few hundred people have spent thousands of dollars to buy golf carts to take them to the beach, something the proposed measure would prohibit them from doing. Businesses that sell, rent, service, repair, and insure these carts would be hurt, and those selling or renting their properties can no longer claim that it's a short golf cart ride to the beach. At last, but for many, far from least, if the measure passes, there could be no golf carts in the Pawleys Island 4th of July parade, which is important to a lot of us. When PIPSA, Pawleys Island Pedestrian Safety Association, was formed several years ago, one of its stated objectives was to have a maximum speed limit of 25 mph on all roads between the North Causeway. I'll wrap up. I would encourage you to please drop this proposal and limit the speed limit on the causeway to 25 mph. Thank you for your consideration of this matter.
And Stacy.
Evening, Mr. Chairman, members of council. I'm here about agenda item 10A with regard to the Mariners Walk amendments from Planned Development District to flexible design. I think it's important for council to know on this project, this is a fully approved project at 343 units. We're not making a request to bring something new. This is fully approved and ready to be built. However, the developer who would like to develop this would like to change this plan to an age-restricted 55 and over community. And the reason we're asking for an increase in density is because we would forego some of the single-family units for some very nice multifamily units. Because this would be a 55 and over community, the county would get the benefit of full taxation on this, including the school district. And this community would not use much of the services that a traditional community would use because of the 55 and over nature of it. It is in compliance with the future land use map and your comp plan, and we had some discussions, some in groups and some in smaller teams. But I'm asking council, do you believe your comp plan and your future land use map or not? You've said in your last iteration of that work that this is the type of project you want in this part of the county, and this is what that is. We had a meeting with the Planning Commission. We had no public comment. We had no public speakers in opposition, and it was unanimously approved by the Planning Commission. This is a Four Seasons development planned by KHAV as the developer, and you can look online. I think Ms. Ashley will talk about some of their existing projects. This is a developer who this is what they do, and they have some of these projects in South Carolina already. The traffic study that was done for the original approved subdivision that is currently before you contemplated 3,300 or so trips per day. Because of the age-restricted nature of this community, the updated traffic impact analysis would cut that traffic to 1,825. So it also, by clustering some of these units, which I know you've encouraged us to do, it produces an additional 30% of open space over the existing plan. This is a pretty piece of property on the riverfront, and it'd be nice and it will be great to have an additional serious, meaningful impact on the increase in the open space that will not be developed. It will be fully contained with its own amenities. It will have its own marina facilities, a place for its residents to tie up boats, and plenty of internal amenities which further impact the need for these residents to leave the community. Again, to remind, not to beat the horse to death, this is a fully approved project. We think this project is better in this iteration. I think there are some folks that are confused that we are asking permission to do it. That is not what we are asking for. We are trying to modify from an old planned development district to a flexible design district to accommodate the clustering and the open space. And also because the state law changed since this was passed originally in 2006, it really technically doesn't qualify as a planned development and serves better as a flexible design district. We came to first reading. No one spoke against, no one called about that. And I believe Ms. Richardson will tell you as this morning, no one has officially reached out to her office with any objections to this, although I'm sure there are some folks in the audience tonight that will. We have Ashley Dennison, our project manager, and John, our project engineer. They will speak after me. If you have questions after Holly gives her presentation, we'll be glad to try to answer them. We are trying to make an existing fully approved project better that we think is a better fit for the community and a better fit for the area. Thank you very much.
And
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, council members. For many years, 17 to be exact, I sat right where you are on city council as mayor pro tem and as county council as vice chairman in Florence, South Carolina. So I know how it feels, and boy, does it feel good to be sitting on this side versus that side. I'm calling about or hear about several things. First of all, I want to do a little background besides what I just said. Back in 2015, my wife and I purchased Beneventum Plantation right off of 701. In December of this past year, it was converted to a conservation easement thanks to Georgetown. We have redeveloped that, or actually it's not been redeveloped, it's been cleaned up. It was under a bankruptcy court, and we bought it from Marlboro One. Since that time, there has been just recently a 400-unit tract homes and development of 100 acres with 4 houses per acre. It is not on the Black River. The marsh is, but the houses are back up on David Ray Boulevard. This proposes a lot of issues for not just me, but for the surrounding community. I would urge you to go back to your comprehensive plan and look at what y'all said 2 years ago. Just recently, as last week, the town planning board voted 9-0 against this plan. And I think I need to just remind you of the history of this area. Black River is a scenic river. And there is a lot, when you put 100 homes on that area, 400 homes, excuse me, on that area, the issues with Black River are going to be massive. There will be all kind of insect problems. There'll be all kind of problems with fertilization on that river. We don't need Black River to be junked up any more than it already is. That's why our family put the conservation easement on it. We were looking, right before we bought it, at a 162-unit facility there. And the Beneventum House, the historic Beneventum House, built in 1746, was going to be a country club house. I mean, give me a break. This is ridiculous. If we don't follow the things that we do, and you guys are the ones to do it, then we're going to be either Charleston, James Island, Mount Pleasant, and Georgetown does not deserve that. Amen. Thank you.
Glenn Wilson.
Good afternoon, Chairman, Council. My name is Glenn Wilson. I live on 285 Johnny's River Road. I'm here to speak on the Mariners Walk. I don't have anything written, so I'm just going to tell you straight off the hip here. Where I live at, and they're talking about making their entrance into their development, is right in my front yard. These roads were built in that neighborhood for that neighborhood. I understand it's a state road, okay? The other thing too is the flexible. The rest of the neighborhood is set up on the zoning that it is now. They want to do something back there, keep it like everybody else. But we do not need 1,825 cars going in and out of our neighborhood every day. The study I have done within the neighborhood, there's 50 cars that go in and out of that neighborhood every day. When you start developing and doing all that and bringing these construction trucks in there, they're going to tear up the roads. They're going to tear up the property. They surely do not care. And I'm asking council, y'all think about this. Our children, there's nothing in Georgetown for our children to do except for play in the yard, play in the little street that we have in the neighborhood. Cars going by and doing all this, they won't have that. So there'll be nothing for the children to do. That's why me and my family have to take our children somewhere else and go spend money somewhere else to do something with our children, because there's number one, and now we're not going to be able to play in the streets and play in our own neighborhood because all these cars going in and out. That's hurting us. I've lived here all my life. We played in the streets and the neighborhoods, had to be home when the street light came on. Now, if we build that neighborhood and put their entrance right in our front yard, every day, cars, every day. My kid going out to chase a baseball, or the dog going to chase a tennis ball that the kid threw. There he goes. They're going to get hit by a car. They're going to get hit by, the dog's going to get hit. We got to slow it down. What we're trying to do here in Georgetown is you're taking a 5-gallon bucket and putting 10 gallons of water in it. It's not going to work. Right. And that's all I'm saying. And I appreciate your time, appreciate what y'all do for us in Georgetown. But help us out a little bit, please. Thank you.
Eileen Johnson.
I'm a resident. Thank y'all for doing what you do. I know what it's like. I've served on the zoning board of appeals. I've worked in Georgetown County. I've been here on Penal Roll for over 50 years, and I've been through a lot. I'm a real estate agent for 35 years, so I understand development. And I don't deny that you don't have the right now for the development. What we're asking is do not grant flexible design at this point. As I said, and I provided y'all with some maps, so y'all will look and actually physically see that this development is going to run through another neighborhood. It's not going to run to a two-lane road. It's not going to be independent. Harmony has its own access to Penarol Road. They don't run through somebody else's neighborhood. This one will run directly through an established neighborhood right now. And I understand it. They've got access. Legally, they do. But we're at a crossroads here in our community in growth. And y'all are the people that are going to be making the decisions that are going to be affecting everybody's lives when all of y'all are gone, including me. So we have to be very careful about every decision. Do we need growth, or are we going to have growth? Yeah. But what does that look like? That is our future. And certainly we're going to have to deal with a lot of it. But I'm asking tonight, do not grant flexible design that increases density. And I still question when you say 55 and older, and as a realtor, I say that person buys into this community and says, oh, well, I got somebody that's 54 years old. They want to buy my house in about 10 years or 5 years. Well, I guess we can make it, how are we going to legislate who they sell that house to? I just find that a little bit difficult to believe that there's going to be somebody at the gate watching that. It sounds good and it's really flowery and okay, we're going to have all these old people. Well, I'm old too. I get it. But these people on Penarol and in here, they have invested their lives and all their money in living in a rural community. And now we want to increase the density so they'll increase the traffic going through theirs. Now, I did hand you a petition up there. Over 100 people, I think it's 113 or something like that, signed this petition. And I think Mr. Elliott has it. So I ask you not to do it and to deny it. And I thank y'all.
Ashley Vaughn Denning.
Hi, thank you all for your time. Thank you all for coming out. I do appreciate the fact that the residents do come out. I'm here representing the developer for the Georgetown project. To try to answer some of your questions, in regards to the traffic, we've actually done a traffic study and we are going to, based on what we can actually do today versus what we're proposing to do, we're going to decrease the traffic daily counts by 1,208 trips for the AM, which
you're talking a small road.
I'm sorry.
This is public comment. Give her time to address council, please.
We have done our traffic study previously based on what we can do today and what we're proposing, and we are going to decrease the traffic. We're paying attention to what the community needs are. We're trying to respect and enjoy Georgetown, respect the neighbors. We've got public right-of-way that we're going to come through. Essentially, the project can be done, but we're trying to do it better. We're trying to give you something that's better that we know we've done before. We've done it in Charleston. We're doing it in Bluffton. We're doing it in Beaufort. We know how to build these communities, and we know how to do them the right way. And we know how to build them in communities where they have not been before. The first one we did in Charleston, it was not there before. We were one of the first ones to go into the neighborhood and do this. And we created something that was there that was not previously there. So we know how to impact a neighborhood in a great way in a community and respect that. As far as who sells houses, we do have all of our community documents. Everything is tied up where they cannot just say, well, I'm just going to do this or that. And I think as you've had your experience in real estate, you understand that there's deeds and restrictions and things like that we put in place. This is something that we know how to do. This is something we've done everywhere, and we take a great deal of pride in what we do and what we put on the ground and who we're providing it for and how we're impacting them. And I am the VP of land development, so I will be the person overseeing the construction that comes in and out. I have 2 children. I know what it's like for them to play in the street. I understand what that means, and I understand what that entails. So that's part of my job, and I take that very seriously. And I'm hired by a company that also takes that very seriously. We're here to provide with Georgetown what we embrace as Georgetown being great. And we just want to give back to what's here and embellish on it and make it better.
John Fleming.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of council. I'm John Fleming. I'm a civil engineer with C. Bell. We're working on the project with the project team. We are, again, looking at this project as a flexible district at a slightly higher density, but what we see is a lower traffic count. And that is what the big thing on this. The traffic study that was done on the original Harmony to the traffic study that was done on the existing entitled to what we're proposing does decrease the traffic by about 40% on the road. Yes, it is a 2-lane road. And we understand the concerns. I too have children and a dog that likes to go out and catch the ball. So we do understand that and do respect what is going on in the neighborhood. And I think developer plans, and we have tried to have discussions with the neighborhood and had a few, and I think we would still want to have some additional ones. As far as the river itself and the development, we will meet all of the state and county requirements as we've stated in the PD. All stormwater, water quantity and quality will be protected. Obviously, the river is an asset. As our governor says, it's a great place in South Carolina, and we want to protect that, maintain the beautiful reason that people are moving to South Carolina. I am here during the presentation to answer any questions, but we feel like we have put together a good plan that meets all the requirements of your comprehensive plan, and we're trying to produce a better product for the community. Thank you.
Blair Cribb.
Good evening, Chairman, members of the council, County Council. First, I'd like to say thank you. Thank you for what you guys do. Thank you for giving up countless hours away from your personal life and away from your families to be here to address issues within our county. The reason I'm here tonight is, again, my name is Blair Cribb, and I'm a resident of Johnny's River Road. And I'm concerned about the traffic impact and the proposed development we'll have on our neighborhood. Our street is currently very low traffic. It's a dead-end residential street. We estimate approximately 30 vehicles, I've heard 50 vehicles a night, on our street on an average day. We talking about a little neighborhood with curvy streets with houses on it. Just a small little neighborhood street in here in Georgetown County. The proposed development is projected to add approximately 1,400 vehicle trips a day. I heard higher than that. We're talking about a little street in a neighborhood that's going to have 1,400 cars on it. That represents an increase over 47 times the current traffic volume that we have right now. This isn't simply adding a few additional vehicles to an existing neighborhood road. It would fundamentally change the nature and the function of the street itself. Our neighborhood was designed and developed as a residential, low-traffic area. Residents have become accustomed to a street where children, pedestrians, bicyclists, and residents can safely move about without the volume of the traffic associated with a major development, which they're wanting to bring in. There's also a quality of life issue that needs to be considered. Increased traffic, approximately from 30 vehicles to 1,400 trips a day, will increase substantially more vehicle noise into a neighborhood that currently experiences very little traffic, more engine noise, tire noise, braking, accelerations, deliveries, general traffic throughout the day. For the residents who live along Johnny's River Road, this isn't a number on a traffic study. This means the quiet residential character we currently enjoy could be replaced by a continuous level of traffic and noise that our neighborhood has never experienced. We are not asking the county to stop this development, by no means. We are asking the development to occur responsibly and safely, and that the existing residents not required to absorb the consequences of a development that our neighborhood road was never designed to serve. If the development is going to generate this level of traffic, then the developer should be required to provide an appropriate access solution to the necessary roadway improvements before that traffic is introduced into our neighborhood. No, I'm running out of time, so, our neighborhood deserves to be considered in this decision. It's not just a development property and boundaries. And again, thank you for your time and thank you for what you do. And just consider our neighborhood as our local little neighborhood. We're not against the development. We're just against the development coming through our little tiny street. Thank you.
Dave Crawl.
Good evening. I appreciate this opportunity to comment on proposed housing developments in our county, not anyone in particular. I understand that change is inevitable, and I am not opposed to responsible growth. However, new housing should not be approved without adequately addressing the impacts. The residents in our county deserve responsible, planned growth, not uncontrolled development that overwhelms the communities we call home. Our emergency services, police, fire, medical are already stretched. How can they safely serve a dramatically larger population without significant planning, staffing, and funding? And then there are the utilities. Can our water, sewer, and other infrastructure truly support this scale of development? We already have numerous issues not being adequately addressed. Numerous streets were closed yesterday due to flooding. Traffic is a major concern. Our roads and main streets simply cannot absorb thousands of additional vehicles. Multiple communities will soon face the gridlock seen in Pawleys Island and Murrells Inlet. Neighboring counties have excellent examples of uncontrolled growth in Myrtle Beach and Mount Pleasant. And who ultimately pays for the necessary improvements? We do. Developers contribute only a fraction of the overall cost, leaving taxpayers to shoulder much of the burden. I respectfully ask the board to ensure adequate funding for the infrastructure as an essential component of responsible development decisions. The financial burden of these necessary improvements should fall on the developers, not on current residents. Furthermore, Georgetown County faces significant environmental concerns. Georgetown County's comprehensive plan adopted last year specifically calls for conservation of high-value natural areas and low-density impact development. Controlled growth has to be managed. The proposed rezoning and environmental waivers required for most developments directly conflict with the county's comprehensive plan, including the land use element and the future land use map. These are important documents that control the future of our communities. Our elected representatives cannot simply ignore them and allow developers to influence decisions. This isn't about opposing growth. It's about responsible growth, proper planning, and protecting our county's future. Thank you.
William Cox.
Chairman, Council, thank you very much for this opportunity to discuss this with you. I'm here on ordinance 2621, having to do with these gentlemen who want to do the James River Road entrance area. I live on Harrelson Road, which is the adjacent road that connects directly off of that road. When traffic builds up on James, when they build it, where do you think all that traffic's going to go? They're going to go around Harrelson and go out the other way. You're causing a triangular motion of traffic that's unavoidable and totally off the wall. Two, what I'd like to know is did you guys do an independent study of the utilities, waterways, and other things that are necessary to have this development. I'm not against anything in moving forward in development. But what I do not want to see is somebody making money and dumping it on us for us to have to deal with it after they leave. I'm not buying into that program, not one bit. I do know one thing for sure. The county's not ready for it. The money from what you just told me that you got, the left hand, you don't got enough money to even get this going yet. All of the utility equipment that you want to change and build forward comes from Japan. They're 3 years behind building that kind of stuff. We're going to wait 3 years to get our utilities increased? Do you know what it's like living out in an area where it's quiet all the time, and now you're going to put 400 or 500 houses in there and build it up to where it's constantly 24/7 traffic? I'm sorry. I moved here to get away from that garbage. I drive Charleston all the time and listen to what they claim is being what's supposed to be. You ever drove in Charleston? How about Mount Pleasant? Try your best bet on that one. Don't do it. Get an ordinance. Find out ourselves what it's going to cost us to do this, because I'm telling you, it ain't happening.
Thank you. I'm Bob's wife, Marie. We moved to Harrelson Road 6 years ago after living in Surfside Beach and dealing with traffic. I'll tell you right now, my concern is not just utilities. I want to know what's going to happen to all the wildlife, because it's got to go somewhere, and where it's going to go is going to be into our backyards. And it's going to be our children and our pets that are going to suffer from that, one. Number two, the wetlands. Eventually, they're going to fill them in. And when, again, you're taking away from our natural environment, you're upsetting the natural balance of things. We don't need 400 plus homes in that area. Montford Road, okay, which is going to be the main road they're going to use to get out to 17 or to Pennyroyal, is 2 lanes with no shoulders. Please reconsider this. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, in reviewing the public hearing sign-up sheet, I believe 2 folks inadvertently signed up there, so I'll call them now. If they wish to speak at public hearing versus public comment, they can defer to that time, but based off of their notes, I think they intended to speak in this section of the agenda. So, Mr. Bill Ringer.
Thank you, Chairman and council members. Good evening. My name is Bill Ringer, and I live in Litchfield Country Club. Following the June primary, I began hearing from homeowners throughout the lower Waccamaw Neck about local concerns. The issue I hear the most often involves residents who are frustrated by barriers and plantings that prevent vehicles from parking along the beach. I told these people I would look into the matter, and that's what I'm doing. I asked council members what Georgetown County could do about this. The question was straightforward. May beachfront property owners in unincorporated Georgetown County install barriers or plantings within a right-of-way to prevent vehicles from parking in front of their properties? The answer appears to be no, but enforcement is the issue. I spoke with the Deputy District Maintenance Engineer responsible for the area that includes Georgetown County. I learned that SCDOT is responsible for the barriers on state-maintained roads, as Chairman Elliott stated. That includes most of the roads at issue. In the past, SCDOT maintenance crews have removed barriers as authorized by state codes 57S210 and 577240, which prohibit timber, wood, or other objects on a public road, only to have property owners replace them within 72 hours. SCDOT believes permanent enforcement may require a regulation that specifically prohibits these barriers and prescribes penalties. Such a rule could enable the sheriff's department to enforce prohibition along Georgetown County's 25 miles of shoreline, which includes 9 miles in District 6. Georgetown County regulations do address right-of-way easements and buffer areas, but they mainly concern visibility and line-of-sight restrictions. I have not found a specific county zoning provision addressing barriers placed within public right-of-ways. This lack of consistent enforcement has created considerable frustration. Some residents are so upset that I fear they may attempt to remove the barriers themselves, particularly around the 4th of July. That could create additional enforcement problems and lead to confrontations or property damage. A permanent solution may be to require action by our state representative and senator. The goal should be to apply the rules fairly, prevent confrontations, and preserve public access to beach parking. So I'm not asking for anything in particular. I just wanted to raise this issue and make you aware of it. Thank you for your time.
Vicky Beard. Vicky Beard. All right, that was our last speaker.
All right. Thank you very much for your input. We move now to our consent agenda. 9 items on the consent agenda have previously been approved via the agenda approval process. Task order number 13 to contract number 24-048, non-engineered road repair, resurfacing, sealing, and marking and drainage IDIQ. Carl Harvey, Assistant County Administrator and Public Service Director, recommends approval of task order number 13 as quoted by Coastal Asphalt LLC for the total amount of $201,180. Procurement number 26-063, Mower Max Boom Mower for Public Works. Public Works recommends the approval of award of the requested Mower Max Prime Mower with boom attachment from vendor ATMax Equipment Company utilizing their SE State contract number 4400032503 for a total amount of $284,889.91. Procurement number 26-066, Peterbilt 567 triaxle dump truck for Public Works. Public Works recommends approval of the purchase order to the Larson Group Peterbilt of Charlotte for a new triaxle dump truck for $259,260 plus sales tax. Procurement number 26-074, 8 Oaks Park irrigation well replacement. Public Works recommends approval of the attached quote from Gross Drilling in the amount of $169,850. Bid number 26-058, pickup and recycling of used lead acid batteries. Staff recommends award to the only responsible offerer, No Limits Recycling LLC at the rates quoted. RFQU number 26-035, rebid Downtown Pawleys Island streetscape plan. Staff recommends award to the highest ranked offer, Thomas & Hutton Engineering Company, for the contract amount of $196,050. RFQU number. Move down to public hearings. We have a public hearing on ordinance number 2619, authorizing and approving an amendment to the existing agreement for development of joint county industrial and business park by and between Georgetown County, South Carolina, and Williamsburg County, South Carolina, as amended to provide for an extended term for inclusion of property in the park and providing for other term for inclusion of property in the park and providing for other related, our Economic Development Director. Ms. Slagle, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman Elliott and members of council. Before you tonight is Resolution 26-24 regarding the property at 2401 North Fraser Street. The property owner, Georgetown Property Holdings LLC, has requested that the county certify the property as an abandoned building site under South Carolina's Abandoned Buildings Revitalization Act. The most important point is that this resolution does not grant a tax incentive, reduce property taxes, or approve any development plan, zoning, or permits. Under state law, an owner planning to rehabilitate a qualified abandoned building may ask the local governing body to certify that the property meets the statutory requirements. Generally, this means at least 66% of the building has been closed or non-operational for income-producing purposes for at least 5 consecutive years. Based on information provided by the property owner and the county's review of its business license records, this resolution certifies that the property meets those requirements. The owner has indicated plans to renovate the existing building and return the property for productive use. From an economic development perspective, this is the type of private sector reinvestment that we want to encourage. Taking an underutilized property, bringing it back into productive use, and creating opportunities for new investment and economic activity. For those reasons, the economic development staff is supportive of Resolution 26-24, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that council may have.
Thank you, Ms. Slagle. Are there any questions for Ms. Slagle on ordinance 2624? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion on Resolution 2624, resolution certifying certain real property in the county of Georgetown as an abandoned building site at 2401 North Fraser Street, Georgetown, South Carolina, TMS number 02-0103-031-01-01-00. Is there a motion on the floor? Moved by Councilor Mercado. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Morant. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. All opposed, resolution passes. Move down to third reading of ordinances. We have ordinance 2619 authorizing and approving an amendment to the existing agreement for the development of a joint county industrial and business park by and between Georgetown County, South Carolina, and Williamsburg County, South Carolina, as amended to provide for the extended term of inclusion of property in the park and providing for other matters, related matters thereof. We have a report from Ms. Kelly Robertson Slagle. Mr. Slagle, you have the floor again.
Thank you, Councilman Elliott and members of council. This item is third reading of ordinance number 26-19, which amends our existing multi-county industrial park agreement with Williamsburg County for the SR Georgetown Solar Project. A multi-county industrial park, or MCIP, you hear that acronym a lot, is an economic development tool authorized by South Carolina law. It allows 2 counties to jointly designate qualifying industrial or commercial property as part of a business park. The property does not have to physically cross county lines, and in this case, the property is located in Georgetown County. We use MCIP because it helps provide the legal structure for certain economic development incentives, while also allowing the county to receive long-term revenue from the project. The SR Georgetown property is already included in the MCIP, so this ordinance is not approving a new solar project, adding new property, or creating a new incentive package. What we are doing tonight is simply extending the term of the existing Georgetown County, Williamsburg County MCIP agreement from 35 to 60 years from its original 2018 effective date. The reason for this extension is to make sure the MCIP remains in place long enough to support the full term of the project agreements and preserve the associated revenue benefits for Georgetown County. Because this is a joint agreement with Williamsburg County, they must also approve the companion ordinance through their process. Economic development staff has reviewed everything, and we do recommend approval of ordinance 26-19 on third reading.
Thank you, Ms. Slagle. Are there any questions for Ms. Slagle on ordinance 2619? Hearing none, the chair will call, or ask for a motion on ordinance 2619, authorizing and approving an amendment to the existing agreement for development of Georgetown County Industrial Park and Business Park by and between Georgetown County and Williamsburg County, South Carolina, as amended to provide for an extended term of inclusion of property in the park and providing for other matters, related matters. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
So moved by Councilor Newton. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Morant. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. All opposed? Ordinance passes 6-1. Councilor Bishop Cooper was in the, no.
Thank you.
Move down.
Correction.
Quick.
Correction.
To your vote. Yeah.
hand went up late, but I'm
Okay. Okay, for the record, motion passes 7-0. Thank you, Bishop Cooper. Move down to ordinance 2623, an ordinance to regulate through traffic on county-maintained portions of Turntable Road within Georgetown County Council District 1. I will be giving that report. The folks on Turntable Road had approached Georgetown County about 7 years ago to regulate the large vehicles that are coming through that road. They're using it as a cut-through road to get over to Turntable Road over that way. We met with the constituents and they asked at that time for us to put up signs. So this is what we're doing with that. There's been no changes since third reading. And if there are any questions, I'll be happy to entertain them. Are there any questions for me?
Mr. Chairman, I've got a question.
Councilor Anderson?
This is, as I've said before, this is a pretty specific thing we're doing here. And we were talking about doing a more broad brush kind of an ordinance sometime in the future. Have you got that on your radar screen?
We do. We're working with Attorney Watson to get something that we can all kind of use.
We're not all on board with that. I can
I
assure you
realize that. We're on board with council making some decisions.
Yeah, that's
correct?
That's correct.
Right. That's why I was asking.
Yeah, we're working through that one. It'll be a broad stroke thing where,
right,
as it sits right now, staff will bring a report to council, and then council will make a determination as to whether or not to close that road at that time.
Fine.
But we are working on that.
Okay.
Any further questions? All right. The chair will entertain a motion on 2623, an ordinance to regulate through traffic on county-maintained portions of Turntable Road within Georgetown County. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
So moved by Councilor Anderson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Mercado. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? Motion passes. Move down to second reading of ordinances. Ordinance 2621 to rezone Mariners Walk planned development located south of Georgetown along the Sanpit River to the Four Seasons Flexible Design District, TMS number 01-0438-004-00-00 and Council District number 3. We have a report from Ms. Holly Richardson. Ms. Richardson, you have the floor.
Thank you, sir. This site has 308.82 acres. As you said, it's currently zoned as the Mariners Walk Plan Development and is currently forested or vacant land. The site is located north of Montford Road at the end of Johnny's River Road and along the Sanpit River. The Harmony Plan Development borders this site to the west. There's R10 and FA zoning to the south, heavy industrial zoning to the east, and CP zoning to the north along the river. This PD was approved back in 2006 as a single-use plan development that consisted of 343 single-family parcels, and it was to be developed with the requirements of the R10 or the 10,000 square foot residential zoning district at that time. That approval is currently in place, and pending construction approvals could be constructed at this density level for this conceptual plan to be developed in 4 different phases. As I said, the entire site consists of about 308 acres. Approximately 100 acres of those are wetlands. They are not proposing any fill for the wetlands for phases 1 through 3. The property does contain an eagle's nest and an archaeological site that's located on the north corner of the track along the Sanpit River. There are requirements from U.S. Fish and Wildlife that they maintain a buffer of 660 feet around that nest. During construction specifically, that buffer does reduce outside of the nesting season, so it depends on what time of year they're doing that construction, but they will have to abide by those fish and wildlife requirements. As I said, the number of units that they're proposing is 403. The net density for this project comes to 2.38 units per acre, and that is once you remove the wetlands, the ponds, and the roads from that calculation. The gross density, if you leave all those numbers in, is at 1.31 units per acre. They are proposing that density and transfer of uses would be allowed at a staff level up to 14% of any land use or phase, but the overall density would retain the 403 unit cap. They are proposing amenities and open space for approximately 20 acres of the development. Plans indicate possibilities for a community clubhouse, a playground area, a pool, pickleball courts, marina, and general open space. They're also proposing a 25-foot buffer around the perimeter of the entire tract, as well as a 25-foot buffer against all of the wetlands, which, as you'll remember, is a requirement from our Wetlands Protection Ordinance that was recently passed this summer. 25-foot buffer is the requirement for single family. The proposed dimensional standards are listed there in your report for you. They have also provided a preliminary tree survey, which shows just over 1,000 protected trees on the site. 14 of those are what we consider grand trees in the rural section of the county. And healthy grand trees cannot be removed without a variance from the Zoning Board of Appeals. Again, they have assessed all those and are aware that those trees will need to be maintained. They're proposing to address the stormwater drainage with the use of on-site detention ponds, and a stormwater drainage collection system will be provided to address the difference in the pre- and the post-construction stormwater runoff in accordance with our stormwater ordinance requirements. You do have a letter of coordination in your packet from the stormwater department. They have made that initial contact with them. The applicant also had a meeting with our utility coordinating committee. And if you're not aware, that's a meeting that we do on major projects that come before the Planning Commission and Council, where the individual utility providers attend the meeting. At that point, they go over any major issues or concerns they might have with being able to service the development. No major issues were discussed at that time. Overall, the utility services could all be connected to and served by the development from the main lines on Montford Road. The Georgetown County Water and Sewer District reviewed the request and determined they have capacity in both their wastewater plant and water capacity in the Kilsyke area to serve the development. And letters of coordination from those agencies are also included in your packet. This project did meet the level of requiring a traffic impact analysis. We had a traffic impact analysis from the previous project. Obviously, that was quite some time ago, so we did require that the developer provide us with a new analysis, which was done by BIHL Engineering back in May. Their analysis indicated that the project is expected to generate approximately 1,825 new daily trips. Again, that's not new cars, but that is trips. And just so you know, when traffic engineers use that, a trip out is one and a trip back in is one as well. The study also indicated oftentimes the traffic study will talk about peak hours, which is obviously an AM peak hour in the morning and a PM peak hour in the afternoon. They are indicating peak hour trips of 106 new trips for the AM and 133 new trips in the PM. They did look at several intersections and how this project would affect those intersections if constructed. 17 in Montford Road was a focus for the study. The engineer did recommend regular monitoring of that intersection for potential signalization as the traffic development volumes are increased. And they did recommend that if warranted, if it meet the levels and the numbers, that a traffic signal should be installed at this location. The other intersections that they addressed are expected to still operate at acceptable levels of service, even if this development's traffic trips were included. As was stated, they are proposing to access the site via Johnny's River Road, which is a state-maintained road. There would be a new internal road system built to service the residents. The proposed roads would be 50-foot private rights-of-ways, and the community is proposed to be gated. They are planning sidewalks along all the new internal streets. They also may have a wider 8-foot multipurpose path in lieu of a standard sidewalk in some locations to access the amenities and some of the wetlands. They are also proposing a secondary emergency gated connection through the Harmony Plan development. Obviously, they're going to have to coordinate that with those residents there. That would only be for emergencies only. The property is located in both the unregulated flood zone X and an AE flood zone. Structures within that would need to meet the minimum requirements of the flood ordinance. Our future land use map shows this tract and the adjacent Harmony Plan development as residential, or the RES place type. That place type consists of low to medium density residential development and traditional neighborhood patterns with a high level of design. This place type is to provide opportunities for conservation subdivisions to preserve natural resources while increasing housing choice. And the residential density designated for the RES place type is 1 to 5 units per acre. The proposed net density for this project is 2.38, which is in keeping with the future land use map. And I did want to mention, to my recollection, this track was also shown as medium density on the previous, prior to adoption of the new map. This was shown as medium density at that time based on the previous PD approval. The Flexible Design District was created to provide opportunities for more desirable environments for single or mixed-use developments through the use of flexible and diversified land development standards. Our approval, as always, final approvals from the other necessary review agencies. The final approval of a tree plan for the removal and replacement of trees, and the development should be designed around the grand trees or those over 24-inch DBH. Requirements to comply with the Fish and Wildlife buffer from the Eagles Nest area, the addition of sidewalks on both sides of the roadway throughout the development, street names, signage for the subdivision based on the zoning ordinance, and an overall density cap of 403 units. We've also repeating the 14% here, and we are proposing that they limit the number of townhomes or multifamily to 14% of the overall total, which would be basically 56, 57 multifamily units. The Planning Commission reviewed this request on June 18th. At that time, there were no members of the public that spoke at the public hearing. And after some discussion, the Planning Commission voted 5-0 to recommend approval for the rezoning from PD to FDD. I'll be glad to answer any questions. Basically, this is an amendment to the plan to change it from 343 single-family lots to the proposed 403 lots, which would contain 56, 57 multifamily townhomes. It does rearrange the development of those lots. It complies with the res place type from the comp plan and addresses the FDD requirements from the zoning ordinance. I'm sure you have questions. I'll be glad to try to answer those as well.
Thank you, Ms. Richardson. Are there any questions for Ms. Richardson on ordinance 26-21?
One real quick one, Ms. Holly, so we're going from 343 from the PD to FDD to 403,
Yes, sir.
which is basically 60 units.
Correct.
And is that, how you figure the 2.38 on the 403? What would that come out to be on the, when it's figured on the PD?
That is a good question, and I don't think I have that number in front of me. I can get it for you, but it potentially could be a little bit lower. I know that their wetlands changed somewhat, the amount of wetlands, so that may play into it. It was still a medium density project at that time. I think it would be in the range of 2 point something, but I can get that exact number for
It
you.
was in a medium density and it still is in a medium density.
Yes, sir. The previous comp plan and this comp plan define anything over 2 units per acre as medium. Under 2 is low. But it would have been medium. That's how we had it designated on the comp plan before.
There seems to be some confusion. I just want to clarify. If we did nothing, if we voted this down, they're still going to build.
They're still approved for the 343.
There's nothing we can do concerning that.
That's correct. That density approval and that conceptual approval is in place. I mean, they still need construction permits, and I can't tell you they can start building those houses tomorrow, but.
To go back through the planning commission for site plans.
Well, the plan development itself is approved, so I don't think it would need to go through the planning commission, depending on what kind of change they needed to do.
Approval through staff.
But as long as they could stay within the PD requirements, nothing that was considered a major change.
All right. With concerning the road and the map that I'm looking at, I'm somewhat familiar with the area. Going through, there's no other way into that development with the exception of through that neighborhood?
That's it. I'm not aware of any unless they receive some sort of permission to cross another property.
Who owns the land to the east? What is that?
I think that smaller area on the Sanford River is what used to be called the Johnson Marina. It might be called something else now. And I'm not sure who owns the bigger tract on Trout Street. But it is
Between Johnson Marina and the.
in this
and
development.
this development.
It is zoned as heavy industrial, that tract.
That track is heavy industrial?
That's how it's zoned, yes, sir.
Okay. Oh, man. I'm very familiar with I consider Penny Royal Road probably the most dangerous road to drive on in Georgetown County. I probably drive on it more than even you guys that live there. Because I drive for a living, up and down it all day long. And I really dread it. The access back to Munford, is there no, would DOT take anything in consideration getting off Munford back to Penny Royal?
Take it into consideration.
To do whatever's required there. That's going to be a terrible intersection.
And which intersection are you talking about specifically?
You come out of the development and take a right on Munford.
Their analysis was not showing that this project would create an unacceptable level of service at that intersection. The only intersection that their analysis.
You have no idea.
Ma'am, please don't yell out.
Indicated a focus on was 17 and Montford Road.
They're more concerned about that end than the.
That's what their analysis indicated, yes, sir.
When a traffic study is done, is it just vehicles or is it types of vehicles that, because I am not familiar with traffic studies, none whatsoever.
It's a traffic count, and they did do counts at the intersection. I'm not sure if this study showed the difference. Oftentimes they do show the difference between a truck and a car vehicle.
Because and the thing about Penny Royal Road, as you well know, it's only going to get busier. There's so much industry on that road with employees rushing to work because the nature of most people, they're going to sleep as late as possible. Oh, I got 15 minutes to get to work. There's no cops on that road. Then you got heavy industrial trucks of all kind, just up and in and out way before daylight till after dark. High explosive tankers coming through there constantly. It's just a matter of time, and it's only going to get worse. And it seems like South Carolina DOT would want to address that before it happened. But I look at it through a business standpoint, and I know they don't. So
There is a good bit of potential certainly for industrial development along Penny Royal Road based on the zoning that's in place now.
And it's going to come. Kelly's going to make sure of that. She's back there licking her chops now. So, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Holly, I've got a question. Did I hear you say that the PD was already approved for 343 homes?
Yes, sir.
And that, when did we do that?
That was originally approved in 2006.
In 2006. So they could ask for a permit today to build those homes.
Yes, sir.
So we are here just looking at a plan to change it to a mixed use and with a new number of homes at 400 and whatever it was.
403.
403. Sounds like, as far as density is concerned, we're between a rock and a hard place. Am I correct?
Well, you are locked into the 343. That is a zoning approval that they have. That's a conceptual approval that they have in hand.
Well, what if I were to ask that we consider this, we've got, I guess, 308 acres and 100 acres plus or minus are wetlands, which they don't plan on using. So we've got 200 acres of usable property, right? What if we were to say, why don't we just settle with, let's say, one quarter acre lot per acre and cluster and allow them to maybe work that way? Could we do that? You know, and back then in 2006, I believe you said the term cluster was not on the drawing board, but it is today.
You're proposing,
I'm proposing that we say, yeah, you can do this because you've been allowed to, but we want you to cluster so that it's going to leave us some natural habitat out there in perpetuity, as we've talked about, in the past as far as our future planning.
well, I think they have shown some open spaces and some amenity areas. They've left 20 acres open for amenity and open space and the other section. Now, their proposal is for 403 units. So in that regard, I think they have clustered those such to avoid some sensitive areas, including the wetlands and the buffers.
But if in 2006, they were approved for 343, that's the law right now.
Yes.
Okay. So what I'm saying is maybe we can make sure that we cluster these homes and maybe allow them to have like quarter acre lots and take a look at the development that way. And we'll still have probably I'll say 700 people if this is a retirement area in those 343 homes.
Well, the 343 lots essentially were quarter acre lots. They met a
They were
10,000 square
quarter acre
foot
lots.
minimum.
Okay, well,
They were
then-
at quarter acre. I don't know that they're clustered, but they did meet a 10,000
I'm
square foot.
saying
minimum.
it's, I'm interested in stormwater and natural habitat. So if we could, based on what we've got in agreement right now, we could have a couple other caveats added to that at this point, right? Like natural land left over, the habitat and that sort of thing.
Holly, maybe I can help a little bit on the new plan, increasing density. Basically, they are asking to cluster it, correct?
They do have smaller lot sizes than were requested before. The previous lots were at 10,000.
Provide what Counselor Anderson wants. Or is
Yes,
suggesting.
at 403 units, but yes, I mean, they have avoided larger areas of open space on this plan than they did on the previous plan.
Okay, and to that point, does clustering have less of an impact on stormwater and environmental issues, including wetlands?
It could certainly, it depends on how they design their stormwater plan. I mean, they're still planning to use ponds. It sounds like a pretty traditional approach to stormwater design.
Based on the numbers, they could do that on 100 acres of the 300 acres. And of course, I know that 100 acres is wetland, so that would leave half the property. Other than they're going to have some room for infrastructure and all these amenities and everything else. So maybe we could keep 75 acres in natural habitat. looking at the numbers like that. Does that make sense?
I think 100 is already in the wetland, right?
Well, there's 300, but there's only 200 usable.
Right.
So if we had 400 homes at quarter-acre lots, they would be on the 100 acres, and we'd have the other 100 acres that part of that could be used for infrastructure and amenities, and the rest of it could be left in natural state.
So
That's
you're,
just the math.
you're good with putting 400 units on 100 acres.
I am.
So you're good with the density of the
Yeah,
proposal?
I'm good with clustering, you know, the density, we're still gonna have that many folks living there, but at least we're leaving 100 acres of natural land. It's not gonna help traffic or anything else, but at least we can take over and know we saved 100 acres of land.
So Holly, does this meet the wetlands ordinance that we recently passed?
Yes, ma'am, and they're proposing the 25-foot buffer.
And there was some mention of 20 acres of open green space. Would that be put into, well, would the 100 acres need to be put in a conservation easement, or are they covered with the wetlands?
It could be, certainly it doesn't have to be, because the FDD zoning will, once this conceptual plan is approved, then the conceptual plan becomes the zoning for the property. So we will enforce, we'll only, absent them coming back before you and requesting a change, then we will enforce the plan as it's approved. So we wouldn't allow development of those wetlands. We wouldn't allow development of the open space. For something that's shown on this plan as open space to then come back and change and be developed residentially, that would be a major change that would need to be renoticed and go back through the process. So the zoning protection will be in place to save those 20 acres plus the 100 acres of wetlands.
Yeah, and we heard during public comment about utilities, and I believe in the packet, water and sewer has addressed that affirmatively.
Yes, ma'am. We have will serve letters from them. They're aware of the project. They've met with the engineer and the developer about the ability to serve them in terms of water and sewer.
I had a question as far as, and this is for the long term now, as far as us trying to cluster and have natural land. Is there a way, and of course Jay's not here, but I'm thinking if we go to the trouble to do this, that land should be natural in perpetuity, not until the next council comes along and changes it. How do we stand on that? How do we keep that in perpetuity?
I think in terms of, we've talked about adding a cluster option as a by right to our zoning ordinance, such that someone could come in and do a cluster development without necessarily having to do an FDD. And in that text, I think we should provide some language that would say just what you said, this open space needs to be in a conservation easement or a private deed restriction in perpetuity, such that they couldn't come back and later try to redevelop those, or not redevelop, but develop those sections.
I'm glad we're on the same wavelength.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Holly, has any alternative routes been examined to get to the particular project, to your knowledge?
You're talking about access to the site?
Yes.
Not that I'm aware of. Again, they have, I think, had hopefully some discussions with Harmony about an emergency access there to have a secondary access, but I'm not aware of any for open access beyond Johnny's River Road.
And this is a standard 50 feet, 2-lane highway?
I think the right-of-way is 50 feet. I'm not aware of the pavement width. I can check on that for you.
Did the original PD have the same access as this?
Yes, and I
That
don't
hasn't
know
changed.
that it had the Harmony connection originally.
Oh, that's true.
Okay, so there's an alternative connection to get to the project, but you say there's an emergency access through Harmony, that is.
Right. That's part of this proposal.
Has there any discussion been with the developers to try to seek an alternative route, to your knowledge?
Not that I'm aware of.
Has the county fire and EMS signed off on this?
They're aware of the project. Yes, we've sent them the plans, and we didn't have any outstanding issues with them. Obviously, they'll need to see construction plans when they're ready.
Yeah, our folks are tracking it.
Okay. And do you anticipate any issues with fire trucks?
Fire suppression shouldn't be an issue. It's pretty standard to that existing community with the resources in place.
Do we have resources in that part of the county to cover that? Or do we need to look at starting to add?
As we continue to shift our operational model, we'll be examining growth patterns throughout that corridor.
Okay, thank you.
We're still in the question segment, right?
Yeah.
So I've got a question for the developers. Would they be interested in considering what I just put on the table?
Mr. Anderson, just so I understand your question, I'm not sure I understand what you're asking here.
What I'm trying to do is to make sure that if we're going to build 403 units, whatever it was, is that they will be clustered in one area of that 200 acres. And they'll be taking up 100 acres, I guess, what's that, 50 acres for the homes if they're on quarter acre lots. And then you're going to need some room also, and I don't know how much, for infrastructure and amenities and all that sort of thing. So that we come to an understanding of how many acres are going to be left as natural, in their natural state in perpetuity. And I don't know how to explain it any clearer than
No,
that.
sir, we understand. And to your point, this is part of what our development has done, is that even though it may be an increase in density, we have actually increased our open space, and we have clustered them to avoid wetland areas, to avoid buffer areas, to provide more of that natural landscape that's there, and to minimize our infrastructure in a way that's not impactful to the community in a negative direction. So we have taken that into consideration in our layout. So it is designed to do that.
How many, have you got any idea of that 200 acres, how many are going to be open space?
Well,
Approximately 20
So
acres.
if you look at the plan that's there, Mr. Anderson, the current plan that's approved versus this plan, this is 30% more open space than the existing plan. Now, if you're
I
asking us to
understand that.
cluster,
And an increase in buffers as well.
but if you're asking us to cluster 400 units on 50 acres, is that what you're asking?
I'm just, at quarter acre lots, as far as if they were stacked up side by side. But I'm saying, I know you're going to have some acreage within it to take care of infrastructure, roads, sewers, all of those other things.
Well, but I mean, but the plan we presented is the plan we have to present. I mean, I don't know that there's a rewrite of the plan at the moment because we think we've accomplished, to the extent possible from a physical condition on the land, what your comp plan indicates.
And that plan does consider grand trees, wetlands, open space, everything that we've heard of the objections to. We've considered that within our plan. And so
Right,
that's
but-
why it's clustered in certain areas along with amenities to minimize infrastructure, cluster the areas, but also maximize the open space and the natural area that's there.
So, but what you're saying of the 200 acres, only about 20 acres of it will be in the natural state, that's 10%.
That's an open space, sir.
That's what?
An open space.
That's what I'm trying to save is open space.
So you're wanting the wetlands and the buffers and everything as a calculation?
Pardon?
I apologize. I'm just trying to clarify.
You know, without having a set of plans sitting out here on the table and us looking at them.
I can
Well,
grab it for
you
you.
know, we're not going to do that now.
Well, to Mr. Morant's question, Mr. Morant, there is no other means of access. Harmony is a privately owned facility. We've worked out a crash gate or an emergency access with them. There is no other means of access. This was the access that was approved in the original approval and you know, it's the access to the property. It's the only public street access we have. To Mr. Anderson, I'm still trying to get clarity. I mean, if you're asking for more open space, With this plan that's before you, you have the natural 100 acres or so of wetlands plus an additional 21 acres of open space it's more than what was in the previously approved plan.
Yeah.
So on the roughly 300 acres of land, you've got roughly 120, 125 acres of the total in open space. So you've got about, I'm not trying to do the math totally in my head, it's not 50-50, but it's
Right.
about 60-40 will be in open space.
I did want to point out, Councilmember Anderson, if I'm understanding correctly, I think to concentrate that on just the amount of acreage that you're talking about, you are going to have to get to a much smaller lot size and potentially more townhome units versus
You mean
single
like
family. I mean, those,
6,000
you're going to
square-
have to shrink.
6,000 square feet instead of a quarter of an acre?
Going to be multifamily.
It would, I mean, we'd have to run the numbers on a plan, but it may would have to be a townhome type arrangement.
Yeah.
And I mean, all the lots aren't here, but they're looking at some minimum lot sizes of 6,500 square
Well-
feet at where it is now.
With all this math, we're still looking at having 800 people if it's approved at what was it approved at 403?
That's the proposal. It
That's
was
the
approved at
proposal, okay.
343.
So what they could do is 343.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay. All right. Well, I guess what I need to do is stick with that figure, which has already been approved. And have we come up, but the design now is based on the 400 and the 403.
Yes, sir, and
Right.
and an
Yeah.
increase in open space and
Yeah.
more conserved area.
Yeah.
It's a decrease in traffic.
Talk to
Sorry,
Councilman.
I apologize.
Yeah, right. You all don't get involved in this conversation, please.
Yes, sir, I apologize.
So if we redid the design based on what you can do, which is the 433 or
403, yes, sir.
the 409. No, the 409 is what they want to go to now.
403.
The 403, yeah, the 343 is what's been approved. So if we stuck with what has been approved, could you come back with a change in your layout to have that number of units instead of the 400 units?
Well, if you look at the 343 layout and look at the old plan that I think should be in your package, you will see there is significantly less open space. So I'm not,
Yeah, well, it probably hadn't been clustered.
so you want us to have smaller lots, less units.
I want less people and more open space.
Well, you keep using 2 people in each house at
And
343.
I know, Dan, in our discussions, you and I, you're confused, and I understand that.
I'm not confused. I just don't agree.
Well, I know, but I'm just talking about the way we do things. So I'm just trying to find a common ground here and stick with the least number of people and the most open space that we can get based on what we've already approved.
Well, if we're going to, if this council votes to no on this, there's not much incentive for us to come back and present to you a new site plan. We'll just go with the 343 that we've got and fill it all up. And I'm not saying that as a threat. It's just, there's no reason to give you anything.
Well, if you've been approved for that, there's nothing we can do about that.
And that's why I'm asking for a better
Yeah.
plan tonight.
Well,
I
don't-
think, sir, I think what we're trying to do is find the same common ground that you're looking
Yeah,
for, is
well,
the least
yeah.
number of people with the most open space that makes sense.
Well, it's,
So I believe that the site plan that we're presenting to you is
Yeah.
the least number of people with the maximum open space to provide the best community. So I do believe that you and I are on the same page as what we're presenting.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're asking for, is to get us to that same common ground that you're looking for.
okay, but you're wanting the 403 number as far as the number of
Yes,
units.
sir.
And I'm saying I'm not ready to buy that because all that they bought when this thing was done was the 343. And that's what that's the law right
Understand
now.
it, sir, but what we're
Yeah.
saying to you is the 343 plan was maximize the entire site.
I-
Didn't provide the open space, didn't provide what you're looking for.
I understand that plan, that was the plan. I'm saying take another look at a plan that it takes care of the 433 No, 340.
And I can tell you, sir, we've spent almost a year doing that and doing so. And this is the plan that we've come up with. This is the best use for what we know how to do. That's going to be in the best sense of community with what Georgetown is, that we can conform with what's here, provide that open space, provide the community, provide everything that we need to. We've done a lot of work on this.
Well, how can we put that many more people in the same area and not be able to,
That's why we did the traffic study, which shows you that the density provided with what we're planning shows you that, I mean, I'm not a traffic engineer. This is why we hire them and pay them to do this work. And that's why we've had 2 different traffic studies. And so
Yeah.
they have done the work and shown, and I'm sorry, sir, I can't debate that point with you because I'm not a traffic.
that's, my point is.
But I have to rely on the studies that I have to rely on for all of my engineers and all of my consultants. And they have shown me that we're going to decrease traffic. How? Decrease it.
That's just where I am on this,
Yes, sir.
I came back on council to try to control density, on the Waccamaw Neck and now on the rest of the county. And if I vote yes for the 403 units, when I only have to have 343, why would I do that?
I'm just, my whole point is that we're trying to also understand your point about open space and,
Well,
making it,
I said I would like to have the 343 clustered to maximize the open space, and you don't have that design. And I understand that,
The PD.
I understand the engineering.
Holly,
Okay.
if what Counselor Anderson is asking for to change the PD design wouldn't have to go back through planning and then come back to us, because at that point, it would still need really more multifamily on it, right? He
they
wants
could-
to cluster it. It's currently approved for basically like an R10,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So, but with this new one, there's more clustering, there's more open space.
Yes.
Right? So if we approve this, it's better for the environment. If we stay with what's current, it's actually going to be worse for the environment. And potentially, it could be actually more traffic count. Was there a traffic study done back in 2006?
Yes.
Was it actually an increase versus this?
Yes. I think the
This is
traffic
actually a
count.
decrease from the previous traffic study.
And the traffic counts are different. It's based on it being a 55 and over community. I believe that's probably why the traffic counts are different.
Right.
Some of the.
Less school traffic, et cetera.
It's just common sense that if you've got 343 units, and 2 people in each one, that's about 700 people. And with 400 units, you're gonna have 800 people.
So
So I'm just saying we need to.
I understand what you're saying. I think what you're thinking about is on the population side.
Right.
And you're assuming that only
Right.
2 people are going to live in an R10.
Right.
Right?
Right, yeah, because.
There's
this
no
is a-
guarantee of that. And I would actually argue that with an over 55 community, there's more likely a guarantee that it would be 2 or less people per house than
Yeah.
potentially 4 to 6 per house, which is what is currently
Yeah.
approved, right?
Correct. We've been told they're going to deed restrict that such that people under a certain age would not be allowed in the home. I mean, it's not something we control, but that will be private
Per
deed restricted
regulations.
that way.
anyone over the age of 19 is not allowed to live in the home.
And this is in a private set of
Age of
covenants.
19.
This is, you can do, age-restricted communities are absolutely not against the law. They're all over the country.
They are.
They are restricted by their covenants, conditions, and restrictions and this is part of the PD that the flexible design that you're contemplating is a 55 and over restriction. So technically speaking, Crystal Enfinger could enforce that 55 and over as well as the private covenants.
Right.
They're not illegal. They're all over the place. They happen everywhere. There's one in Georgetown County as well that's a mobile home park up in Merle's Inlet on the left, and that is exactly how it works. And that's what affects the traffic, and that's what brings the traffic down.
Please, y'all, we're trying to have a conversation. Stop the outburst, please. If you cannot stop the outburst, you can leave. This gentleman right here will escort you out. Am I clear? Thank you.
Sorry, Dan, could you repeat?
That was it. Just
I
you
know I-
have age-restricted communities in Georgetown County now, and that is how they work. You have your grandchildren visit, but they cannot reside in the home, and it is a 55 and over community.
And this is something that we're very well versed in. We do, not even just in the Southeast, but all over the country. I mean, we've got a proven record for it. They're very well done. You can go and see them. They're very well designed. We do take into account the communities and everywhere that we build. I mean, it matters a great deal to us as to what we build and who we build for.
For me, I heard a lot of the public comment and I understand it. I'm just trying to compare basically what is currently approved to what is potentially being approved. And it seems to me that there's going to be a decrease in traffic because of the type of community that it is. There's actually less infrastructure requirements because of the clustering. There's more environmentally, and there's more open space, to Counselor Anderson's point, with the new plan. There's less infrastructure burden with the new plan. So that's what I'm trying to look at.
Stella, when you were talking about the number of folks in them, what's been approved is not over 55.
Right.
Correct.
So that's where the numbers go up there.
No, they go down.
Well, no, because if you said yourself, if it's a retired community, you're probably going to have 2 people per unit.
Right. So
Okay,
if it's
but
not a
it's-
retired community, you could have more, there'd be families.
That's what I'm saying. So with this number, with the lower number, I agree that it would be, you'd have more people. I understand that. Because it wouldn't be an over 55. I'm saying leave it over 55 community and build 343 homes.
Holly, do you have any comment on that?
That's not in the cards.
Well, I think what Mr. Stacy was saying is if you limit him to the 343, then I don't think they would be coming before you for any change. They would work within the plan that's already been approved. They would deal with the
for regular
343
housing.
and the benefits of the additional open space and the limitations of the over 55 would then be lost.
But there's no benefit of clustering on what's the law right now.
I guess the concern is I don't know what their incentive is to cluster if they're still at the 343.
Yeah. That's what I was looking for. So, do the 343 for over 55 and cluster and, take advantage of the natural areas. But maybe we can't do that. Maybe we can't come to that conclusion.
So Holly, just to clarify, at the 343, that's like a regular PD. Families can live in there. But at the 403, we're talking about a 55 and over restricted community, correct?
That's their proposal, yes. The 343 was approved as a typical, what I call suburban subdivision, quarter acre lots, cul-de-sacs, a private development. Certainly was no age restriction there.
So really and truly, we could look at 343, potentially having 4 people per house in that household.
Yes, and typically zoning doesn't deal with, and Mr. Anderson and I have talked about that a lot, doesn't deal with the number of people in a dwelling. But I think that's where the traffic difference is coming in. A traditional single-family home, our standards usually say 10 traffic trips per day per house. So if you're looking at 343, that's what's putting you at that 3,000 number. They can do the traffic numbers differently if you're talking about over 55. Like you said, probably because less people in the home, less school traffic, those sorts of things.
I mean, North Litchfield is R10.
Yes, ma'am.
And there can be houses that are huge on those lots. They're getting knocked down and getting rebuilt right now. And they're turning into second homes, they're turning into Airbnbs. And you're talking about 20 people in a house every single week. This doesn't allow for that. Right?
That's, I mean, I don't know that they have a limit that says only 2 people, but they certainly would have a limit on families and children because the children can't stay beyond a certain period of time.
Existing PD would allow for that.
Sure, there would be no limit on the number of people in a house in that, the PD as it's approved today. It's just a density number. It's just a number of houses.
So at the,
Can
really
I-
and truly, at the 343, at 403, we're looking at 2.38 units per acre.
Yes.
At the 343, it's really still about
Two
2 plus units per acre. So the density in that respect hasn't really changed.
That's right. It's because they've increased the amount of open space that number tends to stay the same.
i.e. clustering,
Yes.
which is what is in our comprehensive plan.
There is language that supports the idea of clustering development in the comp plan. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Are there any further questions for Ms. Richardson? All right. Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion on ordinance 2621.
So moved.
Mr. Chair,
Bishop Cooper?
Mr. Chair, and members of the council, as county council member representing District 3, I take seriously my responsibility to make sure that the decision we make are in the best interest of the citizen we serve. Regarding ordinance number 26-21, I believe there are still questions that deserve answers and information that need to further review before I'm comfortable moving forward with the vote tonight. This is not about stopping progress. It's about making sure we have all the facts, understand the potential impact of District 3, and give the citizen who may be affected as an appropriate opportunity to understand what is being proposed. Once we cast our vote, we must be prepared to explain those votes to the people who elected us. I would rather take additional time and make the informed decision than rush a decision that could have a long-term effect. Therefore, Mr. Chairman, I move that the action on ordinance number 26-21 be deferred until our next council meeting or until the council have received additional information necessary to properly evaluate this matter. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Bishop Cooper. There's a motion on the floor to defer ordinance 2621. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Anderson. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. All opposed? Motion carries 5-2. Ordinance 2621 is deferred.
Mr. Chair, may I ask a question, please? Mr. Creeper's asking for, to receive the relevant information. Can you tell me what that is, please? What information would you like? And we'll get-
Okay. When I look at my district, what has happened tonight, and discussing this, with all the information that we have provided tonight, we're still not at an agreement. We understand since 2006, it's been since 2006. The question was asked by my colleagues, whatever way we go, it still look like it's going to move. If we vote it down, we don't vote for it. But I believe the due diligence that need to be given, and I think that's why our District 3, a part of my district, had voiced the opinion tonight. So what I'm asking tonight, the defer will give us an opportunity. There's still a few questions I don't have the answer for, but there's questions in the back of my constituent mind before we can move forward. My colleague, Mr. Newton, I brought up a great point with all the traffic, with that one road, almost one way in, one way out, so to speak. My other colleague, Anderson, about having the cluster. We spent about 30 minutes dealing with the cluster because there's not clarity there. We spent at least 20 to 30 minutes about the numbers, even the cluster. And because of that, I listened very cohesively to everything that was said. And I believed in the depths of my heart that we need to defer it. I understand a lot of information has been given. If we can call, have a meeting with, I don't know, my community, my district, and then we clear the mud. I think there's still some mud that we're not clear, because it's just like a tug of war. It's a tug of war. We both are trying to pull, we both trying to win. But in the middle of the tug of war that we're dealing with tonight, nobody's winning. Nobody's winning.
Be glad to meet with the community if you want to organize that, and if you have a specific piece of information you would like, we'll be glad to give it to you. If you have something else we haven't given, we'll be glad to try.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, we've reached out, with you and with staff and with residents. I've spoken with many residents, and not received any feedback that I've gotten this evening. More than happy to provide any information to do any of that. We felt like we've gone through the appropriate forums and, processes to do so. So if we failed, then that's on us. That's my apologies. We certainly thought that we've done everything appropriately by reaching out with the community, with staff, and with you, sir. So if you can give us some guidance so we can do it a better way, we would greatly appreciate that.
And I want to be clear for the record, I am for progress. I want to see changes. And I believe the change that we're looking to make, we still have a community that has to house these changes. We have a community that have to live with these changes day to day. I'm not about not having changes. I want to see changes. But in the same token, I'm concerned about those in the community. So we need to sit at the table. I don't have the answer for it right now, because tonight there's a lot of, we've been discussing, we've been having conversation, and we're still not at an equilibrium. We're not at an equilibrium. We're not at a balance right now. We're not seeing the same thing at the moment. So I sat here and I listened. When I first came here tonight, when I first came in, and for the record, I said, well, this is the part of my district I wanted to hear. I want to make the best decision for my constituent. And not only my constituent, the entire county. But when I can hear my colleagues, when I can hear that we continue to talk about it, we don't have a balance. And for me, an equilibrium that we're not seeing eye to eye. We don't have a balance. And our balance right now. And some will say, well, it's going to work for me over here. But what about those person that is not working for? And how can we have common ground? How can we have common ground? And I think we need a little more time. That's all. I did deferral.
I think it's a huge proponent of local government. I think that's great that you're doing that for your constituents. We're gonna be here, we're gonna live here, right? We're gonna be neighbors. We're not coming in here just to exist. I'm gonna have to be here every day. This is part of what I do. I do have children, I do care about what I do. I work for a company that cares about what they do. We're open, we're welcome, we'll answer any of your questions. We simply just did not know them. But we're 100% here and ready to answer anything. We're part of the community. That's what we want to do.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
We'll connect. Okay, we're moving down to first reading of ordinances. The following ordinances will be read into the record by title only. Ordinance 2624, an amendment to the fiscal 2627 budget ordinance. Ordinance 2625, an amendment of the stormwater management ordinance. Move down to approval of minutes. The regular council meetings for July 22nd, 2026. Is there a motion on the floor?
So moved.
So moved by Councilman Carter. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Charlton. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. All opposed, minutes are approved. Move down to the minutes for the special council meeting of August 4th, 2025. Is there a motion on the floor to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Okay. Councilor Newton, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilor Cooper. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. All opposed, the special council meeting minutes are approved. Move down to the special council meeting minutes from August the 11th. Is there a motion on the floor? So moved by Counselor Charlton. Is there a second? Second by Counselor Newton. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. Those meeting minutes are approved. Is there any further business to come before council at this time? Hearing none, the chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved by Counselor Charlton. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Counselor Cooper. Is there any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hands. We stand adjourned.